Good morning, everybody. Welcome to 11:11. Let the journey begin, and to this amazing series that we are now starting on Fatima and Holy Mary, the Virgin Mary, and the secrets, the prophecies, the miracles, and why is Fatima regarded as the highest event on the Marian and Marian beliefs. And as usual, I would like to give a little bit of time for all of us to start joining. Give it a little bit time to technology and to internet. And in the meantime, to apologize for not being with you for the past 2 weeks. As you are aware, 2 weeks ago, 11:11, Let the Journey Begin, facilitated a very special ceremony with Mother Aya for a group of 4 individuals, and it was a very beautiful journey. We had 3 ceremonies at night with a full moon and a lot of Virgin Mary energy, very motherly energy. The Aya, and then in the morning we greeted the sun back into our hearts, although it was a little bit shy on that Sunday morning, and we ended up having a despacho, which is a Thanksgiving ceremony for the journey, for the teachings, for the paths that were given to us. And last weekend we had a little bit of a break in terms of teachings, as we were finalizing the Let the Journey Begin, which is a self-development program that we endure at. You can know more on www.1111 Let the Journey Begin self-development window right at the top, and then it says the beginning of the journey. So we had the assessment for our first 90 days. Also for this group, a group of 6 people, and self-assessing their transformations. And now we are in a position of taking this task that have started since the inception of this program of 11:11 with a great energy of Mother Mary, Holy Mary, and this intriguing motherly force behind it. And I've shared with you some time ago that I have been always very close to this energy since inception. I did consecrate my firstborn, my first daughter, to Holy Mary of Fatima, and she has been with me all times of my life, and that goes beyond religion. It comes from heart. And also the mysteries of the Marys, the several Marys, as this energy comes to us, and Mary Magdalene and Immaculate Conception and the Sacred Heart of Mary and the Rosary, and Mary as Mother of all mothers, but also Mary as the Mother of God. And as I said, it goes beyond religions, and it goes on the spiritual. So I invite you for a series of 6 talks and 6 discussions. I really would appreciate if you could be as interactive as possible. Hello, Rian. Good morning. Hello from Dubai. Hello, Nadia. Hello, my love. Good morning to you, Cindy. Very, very, very pleased to have you here. Please try to be as interactive as possible. And this, as I said, it will be a series of the first of a series of 6 discussions or talks, and we will then have scrolling underneath the dates, so you can save the dates. But we will start basically on every Saturday at 11:11 in the morning, and every Wednesday at 8 6:08 in the evening, South African time. Please diarize. We will have our sessions in Portuguese and in English. So on each day, you can choose the one that you prefer or you feel more comfortable to attend. Then on the last day of the series, we will have, which will be in October, we will have a rosary. So we will pray the rosary and we will do a ceremony of the rosary and in the evening, both in English and in Portuguese. For those of you we will then talk more one of these days about rosary. I hold in my hand my mom's rosary, is in mother pearl and white gold, and she has dementia. She's in old age home in Portugal, so she has a everyday rosary with her, and I have a ceremonial rosary with me here in South Africa. Also to say that this rosary has been with me in all the special moments in my life, through the birth of my daughters, through my marriage, my wedding, in all mass as well, and on my daughter's baptisms and first communions, either so with me or with them. It also have been in the births of my mother's children and their baptisms, and also on my late father's passing. So this rosary does carry a lot of energy. And we are now 5 minutes on our talk, and yes, it is. It is beautiful. The rosary is magical, and I hope that you can all come to understand and to come to connect to this energy as well. And it is very special, Cindy. Yes, indeed. So let's talk. Let's start by pointing out all of these dates. So we're going to. Okay. All right. Start with this story as where does this story starts, and it starts in a very arid area of Portugal. And please let me know if you can hear me and if you can listen to me, if everything is all right on your side. Yes. Okay, great. So basically, you can also follow this discussion on our blog. I've already posted today's session, www.1111 Let the Journey Begin, on the blog, and the name of today's post is Holy Mary of Fatima and the Secrets of Fatima. So Fatima, it's the most popular and well-known Marian apparition in the recent history of the Church. So 103 years ago now, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared to 3 shepherd children in a field in Fatima, Portugal. And she brought with her requests for the recitation of the Rosary, for sacrifices on behalf of sinners, and a secret regarding the fate of the world. Actually, there was not only one secret, there was a series of revelations in that secret that has been made. And every local bishop since has approved the apparitions and deemed them worthy of belief, the highest recognition a Marian apparition can receive from the Church. But also, these miracles and these apparitions could be considered as almost a gold standard of Marian apparitions. And we have had others also in Lourdes, very powerful. apparition and message as well, and in other corners of the world. So the miracle of Fatima and the apparitions of Fatima have everything you ever wanted to look for in a Marian apparition. It has the secrets, it has these prophecies, and it also has a feast day in the general Roman calendar. So the approval of the local bishop and of every pope afterwards. You have the canonization of the visionaries at the basilica that was built. So all the hallmarks of a Marian apparition are there. If you go to the sanctuary in Fatima, you can start right at the top of that almost as a valley where the shepherds used to take the sheep and the goat, and the azinhaga, that small at that time bush, now a tree, where Virgin Mary appeared, and that spring. And today there is every pilgrimage Fatima would like to fill a small bottle of water from that spring with that tree where the Virgin Mary appeared, and in that place to the left, where the shepherd would kneel to the Virgin Mary, and as per her request, a small chapel was built in the memory of those messages, and is called the Capella das Apparições. And the place in Fatima is called the Cova da Iria, or Cove of the Irene, because it sits almost as a foothill of the footsteps of a small hill, not a valley, but just a little bit of a cove. So let us start by finding out where all of this begin. Shall we? All right. Any questions at that time? Do you have any questions at that time? Okay, great. Olá, Lisette. Thank you so much for coming. So, this story begins in the village of Fatima in Portugal. It starts from the 12th to the 13th of May of 1917. On that fateful day, near that tiny, tiny village, the Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of God, appeared to the three young peasant children, Francisco, Jacinta, and Lucia. They were respectively 10, 9, and 7. Sorry, opposite. Lucia was the oldest one. She was 10. And Francisco was 9. And Jacinta, the youngest one, was just 7. As was the custom, these youngsters were tending their family's sheep when a lady all in white, more brilliant than the sun, indescribably beautiful, they said, standing above a bush, appeared to the youngsters. From May through October in 1917, the lady appeared and spoke to the children on the 13th day of each month. News of these apparitions began to spread throughout the region. The children recounted that the Virgin told them that God had sent her with a message for every man, woman, and child living in the 20th century. She promised that God would grant peace to the entire world if her requests for prayer, reparation, and consecration were heard and obeyed. While many people believed the children had actually seen the Virgin, many others discounted the children's story, subjecting them to much derision and ridicule. There was a persecution of these children, was shaming, saying that they were seers, or they were liars, or they were from the devil. But funny enough, the youngest of them all, Jacinta, she, every time that someone would point a finger at them or ridicule them, she would go on her knees and she would pray the rosary. She was just about 7. And Francisco, the only boy, he was pointed out as the reason and the fact why the children were lying. Because why was Lucia and Jacinta saying that those were the messages, where Francisco would say that they say the lady said. So, because Francisco could not hear what the lady was saying, he could see her, acknowledge her, but he could not hear the words. So there was moments of much affliction. And I would like us to go and imagine what would have been in 1917 for 3 children without education, without knowing how to read or how to write, living in an almost godly, forgotten, arid place of hills of limestone, having to work as shepherds to support their family. What must have been for these children? So, coming back to the story. So these children, these news of these apparitions began to spread, and the children were recounting what the lady had told to them, and that they had actually have seen the Virgin, and so many others were ridiculizing these children. It came known that the lady would visit the children for the last time on October 13, 1917, and had promised a sign that would convince the world that she had appeared, and many pilgrims have made plans to attend. Through the region have been subjected to 3 days of torrential downpour. Nearly 70,000 people journeyed through the heavy rain and mud to the place of the previous apparitions to witness the predicted miracle. Many were scornful, unbelievers, whose sole intent was to discredit the children's stories. And believe me, many of the clergy as well. The clergy and the church were not supportive of these children, although these children families were very staunch believers. So suddenly, on the 13th of October, the clouds separated, and the sun appeared between them in a clear blue, like a disk of white fire. Pretty much as when you look at the sun at the sunrise, when the sun comes above, and if you look at the sun shortly, and the sun has these discs, pretty much this was the description of the 70,000 people that were in that cove and registered on the 13th of October 1917. But the difference is that It was not a small sun, it was huge, huge ball of fire, as it was described. So these people could look at the sun without blinking, and while they gazed upward, the huge ball began to dance. The huge fireball whirled and rapidly with dizzy and sickening speed, flinging all sorts of brilliant colors and reflected on the faces of the crowds. So this fury ball continued to almost vibrate in this manner 3 times. Then it seems to tremble and shudder and plunge in a mighty zigzag course toward the earth. And as in the ancient Indian tradition, almost as a yappa. The crowd was terrified, fearing this was the end of the world, and that this was indeed a curse. Apologies, I did forget the most crucial rule. Switch off your phone. However, the sun reversed course and retracting his zigzagging course returned to his normal place in heavens. All of this transpired in approximately 10 minutes. After realizing they were not doomed, the crowd began to laugh, to cry, to shout, to weep on their knees. Many discovered their previously detrenched clothing to be perfectly dry. After what has become to be known as the miracle of the sun. The children were grilled many, many, many times about what they had seen and been told. Their story never changed. The heart of Our Lady's message to the world is contained in what has become known as the secret, which she confined to the children in July 1917. The secret actually consists of 3 parts. The first part of the secret was a frightening vision of hell, where the souls of poor sinners go, and contained an urgent plea from Our Lady for acts of prayer and sacrifice to save souls, with particular emphasis on praying the rosary and devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The second part of the secret, and before we go to the second part, or in Portuguese we say o segundo segredo de Fátima. The first secret was the end of the First World War and the beginning of the Second World War. And that would be very violent and very bloody, with disease also coming to afflict. The second part of the secret specifically prophesied the outbreak of World War II and contained the prediction of the immense damage that Russia would do to humanity by abandoning the Christian faith and embracing communist totalitarianism. And that is why also part of the vision of the second secret, through the prayer and through the rosary, that the unification of Europe and the unification of Germany would come to place. And if you visit the sanctuary in Fatima, you would see on the right of the sanctuary a huge piece of the original wall that separated both Germanys and that were gifted by both governments at the time to Holy Mary of Fatima, as she had requested the world to pray for the reunification of man through rosary. And the third part it took many, many, many years to be revealed. Although it is said that Lucia, the surviving seer or shepherd, that isolated herself as a Carmelite nun, and the Carmel in the Carmel, she would not speak to the world or to anyone outside, but to the envoy of the Pope, the White Bishop, and to the Pope itself. So there were many popes since then, and that heard and visited Lucia at the Carmel and were entrusted with the third secret of Fatima. Some of the popes were Marians, like João XXIII, João Paulo II, John Paul II, and Pope Francis as well. The third part was not revealed until 2000. Its revelation coincided with the beatification of Francisco and Jacinta, the two young seers and shepherds that had died a few years after the miracles and the apparitions. It did not contain any striking or cataclysmic prediction, but instead, the vision supported and affirmed the immense suffering endured by witnesses of the faith in the last century of the second millennium. Sister Lucia, the surviving member of the Fatima trio, confirmed that in the vision, the bishop clothed in white, who prays for all the faithful, which is the Pope, as he makes his way with great difficulty towards the cross amid the corpses of those who were martyred, bishops, priests, men and women, religious, and many lay people. He too falls to the ground, apparently dead, under a hail of gunfire. It is possible that the vision predicted the 1981 attack on Pope John Paul II's life. The Pope has always credited the Virgin for his survival. I'm having goosebumps. And such a holy man he was. Or it may be a portrayal of the Church's continued struggle against secularism and anti-Christian movements, and a continuing call for prayer, sacrifice, and devotion to Our Lady of Fatima. And would like to hear your comments, because we have said a lot in these minutes, and I would like to hear from you. How does it come to you, this story? Have you been in any way fascinated by the Virgin Mary and by Fatima specifically? Please let me know. It is very magical, and I feel extremely blessed as my absolute devotion to her. Yes, so from today, every Saturday and every Wednesday, every Saturday at 11:11 South African time, and on Wednesday at 8:08 in the evening. So on Wednesdays, Our sessions will be in English, and on Saturdays, our sessions will be in Portuguese. We have 2 new comments here. And Nadia says she's always by our side. Isn't it beautiful? And so intense, such a loving love, such a calming love. And Cindy says, I think it instills an attitude of gratitude of what we have long forgotten. And we still make it on time. We're still on time. It was 103 years ago, and not much has changed besides the sanctuary and the marble and the limestone and the images to honor. Her secrets and her messages are still very adequate, and especially these times now, that should be times to call prayer and to call the rosary. And in 2017, on the night of the 12th to the 13th of May, it was the celebration of the 100 years of the first Fatima apparition, and Pope Francis visited the apparitions site. And this papal visit included a canonization of both Francisco and Jacinta, the 2 of the child visionaries who died just a few years after the visions. And even though it's been 103 years, the messages of Fatima are as relevant today as they were in 1917. And the essence of the message is a call to conversion. It's a call that something that is important in our life in modern times, it was when Mary appeared in 1917. And I truly believe that now, as we are on the 12th of September, tomorrow, 13th of September, another apparition, 103 years. It is a great opportunity for us to revisit the devotion and to reincorporate it into our lives today. Modern, day, mankind, and let us put this into a historical context, shall we? In 1917, the country of Portugal, like most of the rest of the world, was at war. Portugal was extremely poor. Stories in my family that a sardine would be split into the 3 or 4 children of the house. Same as a potato. The oldest ones would have more nourishment than the youngest ones. Why? Because they had more chances of survival and needed more energy to work the fields or to shepherd to survive. And this is the scenery beyond these apparitions. As a world war raged throughout Europe, Portugal found itself unable to maintain its initial neutrality and ended up joining forces with the Allies in order to protect colonies in Africa and to defend their trade with Britain. Portugal still maintains the oldest treaty in the whole world with Britain, and about 220,000 Portuguese civilians died during the war, thousands due to food shortages, thousands more from the Spanish flu. The Spanish flu. We are now 103 years old. The whole world closed due to a flu pandemic. So besides the hardships of war, Catholics in the country were also facing a strong wave of anti-clericalism. They were against God. God had forgotten them. Why God? Why? Because of the 18th century, during the term of the statements Marquês de Pombal, anti-Catholicism reared its head against after the establishment of the Portuguese First Republic in 1910. Myself, I lost my grandfather that could not stand for his word because he was the last count, and the republic was it started, and all good men, all noble families, all traditional families were ransacked of all their goods. Catholic churches and schools were seized by the government, and the wearing of clerics in public, the ringing of church bells, and the celebrating of popular religious festivals were banned. Between 1911 and 1916, nearly 2,000 priests, monks, and nuns were killed by anti-Christian groups. This was the Portugal that the Blessed Virgin Mary entered into when she appeared to the three shepherd children in Fatima in 1917, delivering messages about war, peace, suffering, and conversion. And an angel announces that Mary is coming. In the summer of 1916, Lúcia dos Santos, the youngest of a family of 7 children, began shepherding her family's flock along with 3 of her friends, Teresa Matias and her sister, Maria Rosa and Maria Justino. During this time, an angelic figure appeared before the girls 3 different times as they were praying the rosary in the fields, but did not speak to them. Lucia's mother dismissed this incident as childish nonsense. Actually, Lucia's mother was the more resistant to any of the messages, the one that took harder to believe. It took Lucia all her life, even at the Carmel, to say, I wish I could have done better to my mom. Some time later, Lucia was shepherding with her 2 cousins, Francisco and Jacinta Marto. One day, eager to play, the children sped through their lunchtime rosary by saying only the titles of the prayers on each bead. Right? Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Ave Maria, cheia de graça. They thus went like, quick, 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 quick. They were children. Shortly after they began to play again, an angelic figure appeared, this time speaking to the children. Over 3 different appearances, he asked the children to pray and sacrifice. He told them he was the guardian angel of Portugal and informed them that Jesus and Mary had plans of mercy for them. On the last visit, he gave the children Holy Communion. That's pretty unique. There have been thousands of accounts of angels appearing on their own. It's a rare thing when they come to trumpet the coming of Mary. But Mary apparition does not come without an angel before. As Mary was visiting Esther, she was visited by Angel Gabriel that stoned to her the truth that she was to bear the child of God, she, the Virgin. So, as I always say, there is no coincidences and there is no time. The first appearance of Mary was on the next year, in 1917. On May 5th, 1917, Pope Benedict XV wrote a pastoral letter to the world asking the faithful to petition Mary to bring an end to the war, that her most tender and benign solitude may be moved, and the peace we ask for be obtained for our agitated world. And 8 days later, Mary appeared for the first time on May 13 to 3 shepherd children. Lucia, 10 years old, and her 2 cousins Francisco and Jacinta Marto, 9 and 7 years old. Now, how could these 3 illiterate children in a field forgotten by God, a cova de Iria in Fatima, knew that 8 days before a Marian Pope had summoned Holy Mary and the rosary and petitioned Mary to bring an end to the war. She appeared as a lady dressed in all white, more brilliant than the sun, on top of a small tree in an open field called the Cova de Iria, or the Cova of Irene, in the countryside of the small but faithful town of Fatima. And she asked that the children come back to the same spot on the 13th day of each month by noon. While she did not reveal her full name right away, the lady told the children, "I am of heaven." When asked, she promised that all 3 of the children would go to heaven, though Francisco would have to say many rosaries in order to get there. And he was the one that couldn't listen to her, because Francisco would always keep the rosary. Aside from the 3 children, no one was present during the first apparition, but as the word spread, the crowds would grow. And the second apparition sealed the children's fate. For the second apparition on June 13, dozens of onlookers testified that they were able to see a cloud above the tree where the children saw Mary. This time, she showed the children her immaculate heart, pierced with thorns, representing the sins of mankind. Another Mary. Lucia asked Mary for the healing of a sick person, which Mary said would be granted with this conversion. Lucia again asked Mary to take the children to heaven, and while Mary promised to take Jacinta and Francisco soon, she told Lucia that she would stay on earth some time longer, so much time longer. And these 3 children, Francisco couldn't understand why would he had to pray a lot of rosaries, and he was the only one that could listen. The youngest one, Jacinta, would be taken to heaven soon. And Lucia, the oldest of them all, and the first one that saw the angel 1 year before, would have to stay behind much time longer. Jesus wishes to make use of you to make me known and loved, Mary told Lucia. He wants to establish in the world devotion to my immaculate heart. I promise salvation to those who embrace it, and those souls will be loved by God like flowers placed by me to adorn his throne. So the children kept the revelation of the image of the Immaculate Heart secret for some time, until Lucia became a nun. Mary again asked the children to return on the 13th day of the next month. Thank you. Would you like to know a little bit more about the third secret? Yes? Okay. So let's go. The third apparition, in the third apparition, the great secret is given. On July 13, Mary revealed what has come to be known as the great secret of Fatima, a secret that Lucia divided into 3 parts and slowly revealed to the public over time. 2 parts of the secret were revealed in 1941 when Lucia was asked to record her memoirs by the local bishop. The rest was not revealed until the year 2000, per Mary's instructions. Understand that Lucia received the visit of the Virgin Mary throughout all her life in her enclosed Carmel as a nun. And she has been told by Mary that only in the year 2000 Lucia would be allowed to speak the remainder of the secret to the white bishop. Lucia knew that what Virgin Mary had told her in that Zinhaga na Cova da Iria about I will take you in a long, long, long time to come. That meant. So the rest, as per Mary's instructions, were not revealed until the year 2000, and then later instructions of the Holy See. Mary also told the children to continue praying the rosary daily and to come back to the same spot on the same day of the next month, the 13th, by midday. When Lucia asked the lady to reveal her identity, she again promised the children that she would reveal herself fully in October and perform a miracle on that day for all to see and believe. Mary also asked the children to help sinners. Sacrifice yourself for sinners and say many times, especially whenever you make some sacrifice, "Oh my Jesus, it is for love of thee, for the conversion of sinners, and in reparation for the sins committed against the Immaculate Heart of Mary." The growing crowds who came with the children to see the apparition witnessed several things during this apparition. Many were able to hear a faint, indescribable sound, believed to be Mary's voice. Witnesses also recounted a change in atmosphere. When the lady appeared, the sky darkened, and humid, hot summer air of Portugal suddenly became cool and pleasant. The crowd also heard a large clap of thunder that shook the ground at the time of Mary's departure. And for today, we will keep these messages in our hearts. And for the next time that we meet on Wednesday at 8:08 in the evening, Southern African time, I will tell you about the 4th apparition and the kidnapping. I will tell you about the 5th apparition and a pillar of clouds and a shower of flowers. And I will tell you about the final apparition, the miracle of the sun. And for today, I wish you all to be blessed. And to please let me know of your questions and your comments. I do believe that she is here, right here, by my side. I'm not much of a storyteller, but Mary is always with me. And I do feel that the step that I've taken to speak in her honor, and it goes with no coincidence. Last week, when, just settling down, okay, chilling, let's watch a movie. And Lloyd, just like that, he chooses Fatima as the Saturday evening movie to watch. And he also learned quite a few about Fatima and the miracle. And this call of Mary, I bear. Amen. Mother of all mothers. So although at 11:11 we respect all religions, today we are speaking about Mary. And I'm going to say goodbye until Wednesday to all of you. Thank you. Be blessed. Have an amazing week. Be comforted. And if you are willing, let's pray one Holy Mary. I will pray it in Portuguese. You can pray it in English if you have. Let us start. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ó Maria, concebida sem pecado, rogai por nós que recorremos a vós. E aqui fico. Thank you very much. Stay blessed. Stay happy, joyful, and if you are a daughter, if your mother is alive in this realm or alive in heavens, in this day and tomorrow, the 13th, connect to your mother, connect to your grandmother. And if you are a mother yourself, connect to your children, connect to your siblings' children, the children in your life, your godchildren, and have a sentiment, a feminine, of nurturing, of love, of unconditional motherly love. Love you lots, and looking forward to be with you this Wednesday, 8:08 in the evening, this same channel. Stay blessed.